I'm Andrew Spaziano, and this is an Anchor TV news update. The leading story is a verdict was reached in the trial of Boston bomber Dozar Tsarnaev yesterday. Closing arguments ended Monday for the prosecution and the defense, and the jury found a 21-year-old former UMass Dartmouth student guilty on all 30 of the counts that he was charged with. The defense has structured their case around Dozar's older brother Tamerlan, who they said coaxed his younger brother into carrying out the attacks. The prosecution had argued that he was well aware of his actions and acted under his own accord and used photo and video evidence of the bombing and aftermath to build their case. The jury will next begin deliberating on whether or not Tsarnaev will face life in prison and the death penalty, and that is expected to resume next week, so stay tuned because we'll have more updates on that. A South Carolina police officer is at the center of controversy after he shot an unarmed man in the back as he tried to run away. Cell phone footage taken by a bystander shows Officer Michael Slager firing 8 shots at an unarmed man, Walter Scott, as he tried to flee the scene. The video shows Scott and the officer standing next to each other, followed by Scott attempting to flee. Slager then lowered his gun and fired shots at Scott, hitting him, followed by Slager planting what appeared to be his taser next to the wounded Scott, although it's still a little circumstantial as the investigation presses on, but that is what we're hearing with the preliminary reports. After that, he was arrested and fired from his job and was charged with murder in a case, which is being investigated by the FBI and South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which is independent from the North Charleston Police Department where he worked, as they're trying to get an unbiased investigation out of the case. If he's convicted, it's possible he could face the death penalty for his actions in the shooting. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, an awful situation that happened down there earlier in the week. Deliberations have begun on the fate of former Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez. The jury is deciding whether or not to convict Hernandez of the 2013 murder of Odin Lloyd. He's being charged with first and second degree murder for the case. In the closing arguments Tuesday, the defense took a curious strategy, claiming Hernandez was indeed at the murder scene but was not the one who pulled the trigger. The jury will continue to deliberate until they reach a unanimous verdict, which could happen any time, but it's expected they're going to probably take their time as both sides build a solid case for his innocence and guilt. But it's another one that we'll be keeping our eye on as deliberations continue on that. As it wraps up for news, we'll kick it over to Mike Giamarco with a sports report.
The Boston Celtics continue their chase for a playoff spot as they sit tied with the Brooklyn Nets for the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. Boston also leads the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers for the 7th spot by a game, while they trail the Milwaukee Bucks by 2 games for the 6th seed. The Bruins find themselves in a highly contested playoff spot with 2 games left in the regular season. They're tied with the Ottawa Senators with 95 points and trail the 7th seed Penguins by just 1 point and the 6th seed Detroit Red Wings by 2 points. They finish the season with road games against Florida tonight and against Tampa on Saturday. The Red Sox kicked off opening day with a bang on Monday, winning 8-0 against the Philadelphia Phillies. Dustin Pedroia and Hanley Ramirez both with 2 home runs each. Mookie Betts also with a 2-run shot. The Sox lost their second game of the season by a score of 4-2. Rick Porcello pitched 5 strong innings before imploding in the 6th. The Rhode Island College Anchormen took down the Johnson & Wales University Wildcats by a score of 7-5 on Wednesday afternoon. The Anchormen jumped out to a 6-run lead early in the game, but were able to hold a charge of the Wildcats after they came back, making the score 6-5, and the Anchormen end up getting the insurance run, winning 7-5. Starting pitcher Jake Murray pitched a stellar game, and the Anchormen sit at 12-5 overall and play Southern Maine next Saturday.
For Andrew Spaziano and Mike Giamarco, that's going to wrap it up for today's Anchor TV news report. Tune in next time and we'll have more news in the world and in sports here on Anchor TV.